welcome! Today we're doing a face-to-face chit-chat. We're going to talk about crocheting through emotions. Finally, I am so excited to be talking about this and getting it out into the world. First, we're going to talk about how crocheting through emotions came about, my personal story and my struggles with mental health. And then the next video will be crocheting through negative emotions and understanding how to do that and what emotions we'll be crocheting through. And then for the third video, we're going to talk about crocheting for positive emotions. So yeah, let's just hop right in then. I am a military wife, a mother of 3 boys, and we are currently living in Okinawa, Japan. I first learned how to crochet in my son was 2, so 2016. When my son was 2, I was a single mom, and I had just gone through a really traumatic experience with my son's biological father. It was a really hard time, and I ended up having to escape, sort of. And so I ended up moving about 4 hours away from my hometown. I lived with my sister, so at least there was that. But I didn't know anybody else there. And eventually, my sister, who is a military wife as well, she had to move away. So eventually, I was just alone and in this new place. I didn't have any friends. And I was still struggling with depression. I was struggling with anxiety, and I was just sinking deeper and deeper into it because of just a lot that occurred years prior. But even before that, I have struggled with anxiety and depression for most of my life. Childhood, high school, all the way up into adulthood. Yay me! Just kidding, it's not. It's been rough. But I will say that I am in a much better place now than I used to be. And crochet is one of the major factors that has helped to, well, it actually pulled me out of my depression. And since then, it's helped reduce my anxiety. If you are someone who has mental health struggles, then crochet is one of the major puzzle pieces to building your life back together. And so with crocheting through emotions, that's what I'm going to share with you. So I'm going to help you through that. Teach you how to use crochet as a form of self-care. Now, as I was saying, crochet, it really pulled me out of that depression. And I remembered as a kid really loving painting and drawing, and how it helped me to de-stress whenever I was going through a rough time. And so I went to the craft store. I'm pretty sure it was Joann Fabrics, R.I.P. But I remember walking down the yarn aisles, and when I was like 14, my friend taught me how to knit. And I remember she was teaching me how to make a scarf, but she never taught me how to bind off. And so that scarf was just attached to my needles in my closet for years and years. So whenever I went through the craft store, I was like, oh, I remember really enjoying knitting, but I didn't feel like knitting. I was like, that's not it. So I still wandered the yarn aisle because I loved working with yarn, and then I found a crochet hook and thought, what is that? I remember I never knew what crochet was, had never heard of it before. And so I was like, let's try it. So I bought some yarn, and then I started looking up YouTube videos, and that's how I learned. And then I found Instagram. I didn't realize how big of a community there was with crochet and even knitting or any of the crafts. I didn't realize that that's what Instagram could be used for. And so when I found that community too, I was just so excited to be a part of it. And so once I learned how to crochet, I was literally hooked, as everyone says, because you can't not be hooked. It's an amazing craft. So I started crocheting, and then eventually I turned it into a business. And this is where things get tricky. The past 8, 9 years, I have been making YouTube videos, creating blog posts, teaching others how to crochet, and the reason why I decided to do all of that was because I wanted others to experience the same relief and the improvement of mental health that it gave me. I never actually voiced that though until now, but that was always my reason behind teaching others how to crochet, was to help other women improve their mental health. But the problem is that the next 8-9 years went by and I started seeing crochet as more of work than a hobby. I was never crocheting for myself. I was only crocheting for other people. If someone asked me to make something, I would think, oh, well, I don't want to waste my time using another pattern. I just need to figure out how to design it myself. And then I would put all this pressure on myself to design a new pattern, and then I would never even make anything because I'd be so stressed out. It just became stressful instead of fun and relaxing. And a couple years ago, if you have been around, you'll know that I took a break from work. I had to completely stop because of a couple personal things that happened in my life. And I was just, there's a plane. So I was going through some personal struggles that had me completely, I was burnt out. I felt lost. I didn't know what my purpose was. I didn't know my purpose in business. I didn't know my purpose in life. I just felt I didn't know why I was here, and started having those thoughts of people would be better off if I wasn't here. So I slowly started sinking into another depression. And that's when I decided to take a break from work. And it really, truly was the best decision I could ever make. I learned so much about myself. I was able to prioritize self-care. I was able to prioritize me and really, for the first time in years, think about the things that I wanted to do. During this break, I finally found myself and I discovered my purpose, which is similar to what I was already doing, teaching women how to crochet in order to improve their mental health and using it as a form of self-care. But this time, instead of just teaching crochet, I am teaching how to use crochet to improve your mental health overall, de-stress, reduce anxiety, promote creativity and curiosity, and all these things. And yes, this one craft can do all of that. So if you feel like you've been going through the motions, it's time to crochet through those motions. Pretty clever, right? If you are someone who finds it difficult to slow down, has let stress and anxiety take over your life, if you can't sleep because of the racing thoughts that are in your mind, that makes you exhausted and irritable during the day, if you can't relax without feeling like you should be doing something else, or if you resort to endlessly scrolling on your phone because you are just too tired to do anything else, then Crocheting Through Emotions is for you. If you have never crocheted a day in your life, but you love crafting, if you've learned to crochet in the past and you know the basics, or if you enjoy the process of crochet, but instead of using it to de-stress, you let perfectionism get in the way, or you are always crocheting for other people, then Crocheting for Emotions is for you. If you know something in your life needs to change because you're tired of doing the same thing over and over and over, but you don't know how it's possible to make time for yourself, then Crocheting Through Emotions is for you. If you can commit to at least 30 minutes a day of mindful crochet, you will be able to relieve the stress, calm your mind, and feel more like yourself. And your mindset will start to shift and those weights will be lifted off your shoulders. I know that I'm talking crochet, 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 but it's not just about crochet. There's so much more to it. But I'm going to do my best to help you use crochet to improve all aspects of your life. And we'll talk more about that in future videos. But before we get into actually crocheting through emotions and what those mean, I just want to invite you, if you have never crocheted or if it's been a while since you've learned how to crochet, or if you're still struggling with some things as you've been learning, I have a free Learn to Crochet Masterclass here on YouTube. Go to my YouTube channel and find the playlist that says Learn to Crochet Masterclass, and you'll find the whole class there. It's absolutely free. But I will also leave a link in the description so it's easy for you to find. So I highly recommend taking that class first. That way you learn everything you need to know from the start, and you are starting off on a really good foot. One of the goals behind Crocheting Through Emotions is to learn how to be more accepting of your emotions and present for them. This is called emotion processing. Whenever you learn how to do this, it's been known to improve your physical and psychological health. So there are 4 parts to Crocheting Through Emotions. Hello there, this is future editing me. Excuse the background. But in this section, I didn't feel like I articulated it the way that I really wanted to. I wanted to talk about the mission behind Crocheting Through Emotions and how it's so important for mental health and how it can improve mental health. Stress alone is a problem in our world. It affects everyone at some point in their lives, and for most people, it's daily life. Anxiety is a chronic symptom of stress, and it's a cause of so many other negative emotions. Now I'm going to read this really quick. 6.8 million adults suffer from generalized anxiety disorder, often co-occurring with depression. On top of that, social anxiety disorder affects 15 million adults. It was also found that women are twice as affected as men. When it comes to the 4 corner pieces that I talk about rebuilding your life, I got that from the NHS, which is the National Health Service in the UK. In this article, they say there are 5 steps to improving your mental well-being: connecting with people, learning new skills, giving to others, practicing mindfulness, and staying physically active. So with crochet, you can do 4 out of the 5 of these things. So that's my goal for Crocheting Through Emotions, is to improve those 4 aspects of your life just with crochet. But of course, you can go above and beyond and start improving these areas in different ways, not just crochet. The first one is to practice mindfulness. Now, sometimes this gets a bad rap because some people think that mindfulness is the same thing as meditation, but it's different and the same. When you think of meditation, you think crisscross applesauce, close my eyes and just try not to let my mind wander kind of thing. But mindfulness is different. It's more about being present in the moment and being mindful of what you consume throughout the world, the news, your phones, like anything that you bring into your brain, negative thoughts, negative perspectives. So being mindful is just being aware of all the things that you are bringing in. Crochet on its own is a form of mindfulness because of the state that you're in whenever you're crocheting. So if you are working on a repetitive stitch, it naturally releases serotonin, which can improve your mood and reduce stress and anxiety. The second piece, I like to call these the 4 corner pieces, but the second corner piece is to connect with people. And the way to do this through crochet is to be a part of a crochet community. I have a free Facebook group that you are more than welcome to join. I'll leave a link for that in the description as well. And just being a part of a community of people who are interested in the same craft and seeing what other people make and sharing your progress and sharing your amazing work, or even going to an in-person class, or what is it called? Something like my library here, they have a crochet club where they go and crochet every Tuesday. So if you're a part of that, you're a part of a community, and it makes you feel welcome. It makes you feel excited to like talk about it. I remember when I first learned how to crochet, all I wanted to do was talk about it. And my friends and family were so sick of it. So at that time, if I had a community to be a part of, I would love it. I would have loved it because I would have had so much to say. And then you can always learn more from other people. It's just being a part of a community is amazing. The third corner piece to rebuilding your life is giving to others. So spreading kindness, especially if you deal with the fear of being alone or isolation, or you just, for one, community would be amazing for you, but also feeling like you are contributing to the world. It does a lot for your self-confidence. And the thing about crochet is people love crocheted gifts. And there are so many charities that accept crochet blankets, crochet shawls, chemo caps, toys, baby blankets. Like, I could go on and on. And whenever you contribute to things like that, it just makes you feel good inside. And so giving to others is another piece to rebuilding your life and improving your mental health. One of the emotions that we do in Crocheting Through Emotions is crocheting for kindness. And so that's another way that we bring crochet into this. And lastly, we learn to be curious. Curiosity is so important. There are so many things in this world that we don't know. It's just like that saying, you learn something new every day. And when you do that, you get excited about life, about new things, about, what was I going to say? The feeling of curiosity is actually important for brain health, and it increases mood. So crocheting for curiosity is dedicated to introducing new skills. I have designed specific patterns, or I have patterns in mind for that category that will get you excited to learn new stitches, to try new techniques, to experiment with colors. And that's what curiosity is about, or at least crocheting for curiosity. But even just having curiosity in life without crochet is super, super important. So try to be curious about things. When you were a kid, what's that one thing you used to say all the time? Why? My kids say that all the time, and it drives me nuts. But at the same time, it's good for them to be curious, because that's how they learn. You don't want to learn what people make you learn. You are interested in learning the things that you're curious about. Okay, finally, we're going to talk about crocheting through emotions and the emotions that we're specifically crocheting for. If you struggle with anxiety or depression, then crocheting through negative emotions is where you'll want to start. So there's crocheting through negative emotions and crocheting for positive emotions. So we'll start with negative emotions. So the 5 negative emotions that we have are anger or stress, anxiety, boredom or avoidance, sadness, and shame or insecurity. So those are the 5 negative emotions that we will crochet through. Whenever you're feeling stressed, you're tense, your shoulders scrunch up like this, even if you're not even thinking about it. It just naturally, your shoulders get tight, you feel tense in your body, and you need that release, right? And whenever you're feeling stressed, you need something repetitive, something mindless that you really don't need to think about. And so for this category, I have designed and will continue to design patterns that are completely mindless. So 1 or 2 row repeats, very easy and specifically meant to just help you relax. And then there's crocheting through anxiety. When you're feeling anxious, you are usually overthinking, you're overwhelmed, you could potentially be having panic attacks, anxiety attacks, or things of that nature. Now, if you're in the middle of a panic attack, I don't think crochet is going to be something that you want to do. But take a few deep breaths, and if you need a distraction, that's where crocheting through anxiety comes into. So these patterns are more, they require more concentration, and they help to distract your mind. So eventually you're going to have to show up for whatever is bothering you, whatever you're struggling with, because you can't run away from it. It's always going to be there. And if you continue to avoid it, it's just going to build up and get worse. So the point of crocheting through anxiety is to distract you in the moment, but always remember that you need to go back and fix that problem or work through that problem when you're finished. So again, these types of patterns require more concentration and they're meant to be a distraction. Then we have crocheting through boredom or avoidance. So let's say you're just procrastinating. You're like, I don't want to do that right now. Well, then you crochet something quick, something easy, something that makes you feel like, well, at least I did this today because you're still being productive, you know. Again, you'll have to go back and do that thing you're avoiding, but this is just meant to be something fun, something quick, and something you can push aside other tasks and say, I'm just going to work on this today. And yes, I give you permission to push aside whatever task is needing to be done. It's okay to set aside the laundry. You don't have to fold it right now. Work on a project if you're feeling overwhelmed. Just do something quick. So that's crocheting through boredom. Then there's crocheting through sadness. This is similar to crocheting through stress. You'll want them to be pretty mindless because no one wants to really do too much thinking when they're sad or just feeling down. So these patterns will be mostly mindless patterns, but thrown in here and there are patterns that just put a smile on your face or something that makes you feel proud that you made, something that could be quick but also could take a bit longer. This one is meant to just cheer you up. And lastly, we have crocheting through shame or insecurity. This category is more about learning new stitches. So a lot of these patterns will have new stitches for you to try that will make you feel proud of yourself, make you feel confident, make you feel like, I just made that. I just learned a new stitch. Something along those lines. If you're just feeling like, I can't do this. Like, why is this so hard for me? Whether that's in crochet or if it's just in life, if you're just feeling negative, like you have negative self-talk, you feel like you're not enough, that's what crocheting for shame or insecurity is for. So that's all of the 5 negative emotions, and I hope that you're excited to make some of these patterns. From this point forward, I will be designing patterns specifically for all of these categories, including crocheting for positive emotions. So if you're interested in those, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future patterns. Now let's talk about crocheting for positive emotions. So the 5 positive emotions that we have are creativity, self-care, curiosity, mindfulness, and kindness. So the first one we'll talk about is mindfulness. Crocheting for mindfulness will have patterns that are mindless, but also meant to promote mindfulness. So when we're crocheting for mindfulness, we are doing it with a purpose. So we have a goal in mind for this crochet session. Either it is to relax and de-stress, or it's to work through something that we are struggling with. So we are really taking our emotions into account and practicing that emotion processing while we're also crocheting at the same time. This is something that you should do when the TV's off, there's no sound, no audiobook, you have a peaceful, like, it doesn't have to be perfect, okay? But I just mean like maybe sitting on your couch in the living room without the TV on and just taking that time to sit in the moment with your crochet and just really pay attention to your stitches and the repetition and how you're feeling, how the colors look, things like that. So crocheting for mindfulness isn't really about the pattern usually. The patterns would probably be more mindless, but it's really about the environment that you're in. And then we have crocheting for kindness. So obviously these are things that you will be gifting to other people. And there are so many things that you can gift for other people, but these items will mostly be items that you can give for charity, items that you can leave. So if you've ever heard of the Facebook group Crocheting Acts of Kindness, I think that's what it's called. Like there'll be patterns like that you can do for that. It'll be like blankets, baby blankets, lap blankets, wheelchair blankets, chemo caps, and just gifts for friends and family, not just charity. Although it's great for charity too. So crocheting for kindness is whenever you're making something intentionally for someone else. Next we have crocheting for creativity. Oh, are you okay? You be careful. Oh, be careful. You gotta stop doing that. Oh my goodness. You almost fell backwards 3 times. Oh, stop getting so excited. Okay, okay. Okay, I'll stop getting excited. Okay, next we have crocheting for creativity, and this is one of my favorite ones because it's one of those things, this one and curiosity, but we'll talk about that later. This is these are projects that will make you go outside your comfort zone. So things that require, like let's say granny squares, require putting granny squares together or just doing something outside of the crocheting norm. So maybe you are making something that involves poly beads or polyfill, or maybe it's yarn bombing. It's things that use techniques outside of crochet, if that makes sense. So it's really fun to do these every once in a while. And this is actually the point behind crocheting for positive emotions. You don't want to do, well, sometimes you do. You want to crochet for creativity when you're feeling down, but most of the time you don't. So these are really for a time whenever you're feeling motivated to do something. Like if you're like, yeah, I think I want to try something new today, I'm going to crochet for creativity. Oh, another example of crocheting for creativity, something that I've been doing, is Stranger Things is one of our favorite shows. And I know that in that show, they have so many different crochet projects, mostly blankets, but lots of crochet projects in there. And so for me, I saw one of the blankets from season 3. I was like, you know what? That would be really fun to recreate it. And so I recreated it, and I don't know if it's up here on the channel yet. If it is, I'll link it below. If not, I'll still show you a picture, and eventually it'll be here on YouTube. So subscribe if you haven't already. So I decided to recreate this blanket, and I had so much fun. I even watched Stranger Things as I was crocheting the blanket so that, you know, whenever I look back at that blanket and say, oh, I remember when I made that, I was watching, like, you know how whenever you have a project and you have like memories associated with making that project? So that's why I watched Stranger Things as I was making it, and it was just a really fun time. So that's another example of crocheting for creativity. Next, we have crocheting for self-care. And this should be obvious, but these patterns will consist of projects that are for you. So things that you keep for yourself with the intention to keep. We spend so much time as crocheters making things for other people, and sometimes we forget to make things for ourselves. And so creating for self-care is putting aside some intentional time. Like maybe you're saying, it's been a while since I've made something for myself, and I think that I want to make something for myself. And so these are things that you need. So for me, I think, what did I make for self-care? At one point, we would go to the library all the time, me and the kids. And every time we would leave the library, we'd have tons and tons of books. And so I ended up making myself this library book bag. And so I'll be sharing that in a future video too. But I made this library book bag so that whenever we leave the library, we'll just put all of our books in there and I can carry it home. You could probably make any bag for this, but this is my designated library book bag. Some other things you could do are like an eye mask, or these can be like washcloths or reusable face scrubbies. But it doesn't even have to be like spa related. It can just be anything for yourself. Oh, another thing that I made for self-care is a Kindle cover because I was getting tired of mine, and so I just wanted to make myself a Kindle cover. So this is really just anything that you're like, I could really use that. Maybe I should make it. And just make sure it's for yourself. Now, lastly, and certainly not least, because this is again one of my favorites, is crocheting for curiosity. For me, I have always loved learning new things. And so crocheting for curiosity is again similar to creativity, where you're stepping outside your comfort zone, but It's learning new stitches, learning techniques like Tunisian crochet or broomstick lace or cables, or maybe doing like a mystery cowl, a stitch sampler, or something of that nature. But yeah, so these are projects that just bring out your curiosity, things that you can learn something new from. That's one of my favorite things to do. I actually have some really fun ideas that I can do here on this channel for Crocheting for Curiosity, and I'm really excited. I don't want to say it because I don't want to spoil it, and I don't know when I'll be able to do it, but I am really excited for Crocheting for Curiosity. One last thing that I want you to know is these don't even have to apply to my patterns. It's going to take me time to come up with patterns for projects for each of these categories, so feel free to think of this whole concept and use it towards other people's patterns. So let's say you're feeling really stressed out. Well, go find a mindless crochet pattern. If you're feeling anxious, look for something that's going to require a little more brain power and help as a distraction. So again, doesn't have to be applied to just my patterns. These can be used across the board. Okay, so we have finally gone over all things crocheting through emotions. I'm so excited to finally have it out in the world, and it will take me some time to come up with patterns for each of these categories, so bear with me. Oh no, my battery is dying. Okay, so let me wrap this up before my battery dies, but I hope you're excited to stop going through the motions and start crocheting through your emotions. And if you struggle with mental health like me, like so many of us, let us know. You don't have to let us know in the comments, but I want you to know that you are not alone, and we will work through this together. I'll see you in the next one. Say bye. Bye bye.